ACCA exams. Should you sit yours as a remote exam or in a centre? That is the question that lots of students are facing. And in this video, I'm going to walk and talk you through with Aaron the pros and cons of going down whichever option. And you'll be pleased to know I did my exams in a centre and Aaron's just done his exam in a remote invigilation in his flat. But Aaron, feel free to introduce yourself as to what sort of stage you're at in your ACCA journey.
Yeah, sure. So I've actually just sat my first strategic professional exam. I sat SBR. I was lucky enough to get exemptions from all of the prior exams because of my degree, which I studied with James at the University of Lincoln. But yeah, so one down, three to go for the strategic professional.
Oh, nice. And well, let's get straight into it then. For your SBR exam, you sat it remotely. What, out of interest, why did you pick remotely for it?
I think the main thing for me was just kind of comfort, knowing that I'm in my own environment. I kind of obviously know where I am. It's all very familiar. And another main one was in my mind, I was thinking this way I can literally have my notes, be reading them right up until a couple minutes before. Whereas obviously, if you're going to a center, you've got to travel there. Chances are you're probably going to have to put your notes away far earlier, just so you're kind of getting into your seat, getting all your stuff ready. And yeah, I think those are kind of the two main reasons that drew me to doing it remotely.
Yeah, well, one of the things that I speak to students about is the students who do the remote exams, they can actually set up their computer, their whole system, their whole room, and replicate what it would be like in the actual exam. So they can
Yeah,
have, like you can see in your background, nothing on the walls, nothing there. Put your computer down, and this is how it would actually be. So if you're doing past papers in the environment, you know exactly what it's going to be like. And the pressures that sort of come with it on there. Did that really help you when you sort of sat and did your remote exam, maybe that you found when you're in the exam situation?
yeah, 100%. I mean, I kind of mixed up where I was doing my revision, but I think in maybe the month leading up to it, I made sure that I was revising at home in the exact spot where I would be doing the exam, just so obviously, yeah, when the day comes, it's just another day of revision almost.
Mm.
There's kind of less pressure. You don't really feel like it's much of a shock to the system because you've been doing it for however many weeks or months. So yeah, I think it definitely does help in that
Yeah.
sense.
Oh, well, let's come on to your points as to traveling to the centre, then getting to the centre. For me, there are pros and cons. I had to get up at about 5:30. I had to get a train over to Nottingham to get it done. Then a 20-minute walk down to the centre. But the positive of it was that when you got there, this is the only reason why I'm here is to sit this exam. So I had
Yeah,
literally no distractions whatsoever, and my brain was really focused. I didn't have my phone on or anything on those lines. And you're with other students as well. You've never met them, but it's an environment that we are here to try our best. And when you get there, everyone is dead serious. Whereas I think about it in my mind, if I'm there in my room at home, this is my comfy place, this is where I chill out after work. We've all been there. You could sort of just fall into that lull of going, oh, I just want to just sort of chill. And is it a working environment? Did you find that when you were studying and then when you were doing the exam?
I think studying there was definitely a period where I was struggling with that, kind of getting home after a long day of work, sitting at the table and thinking, yeah, I need to do a few hours, and you just think I can't be bothered. And I think my kind of main tip for that was at the moment I started to feel like that, I switched up where I was revising. So I used to just stay in my office for a few hours and just do that. And then I think, like I said, I switched to doing it at home in the final month. And at that point, because it's around the corner, I don't even think you have a thought of, oh, let me go lie down or let me go do this, because
Mm.
you're thinking, look, I've only got a month. It is knocking on the door. So there's no time to kind of relax and just think, oh, let me go sit down on the sofa, because you're so like focused on it.
Mm. And well, there'll be some students who have maybe only done centre based because that's always what it used to be on their pre-COVID. But like, what's it like doing a remote exam? Because obviously you've got an invigilator there. What sort of things do you have to do in the build up for it as well?
Yeah. So probably the main one is you have to do a system test. I think that's you pretty much you need to have done that prior to the exam, because if anything goes wrong in the exam, if you haven't passed the system test, there are certain difficulties that will obviously come up, and I don't think when you try to resit it, there's just a lot of issues with it. So you need to do a system test, which will pretty much check that the ACCA test platform is able to run on your computer. Things like you haven't got any VPNs, which is actually something that I was slightly worried about, because I chose to do it on my work laptop.
Hmm.
And to be fair, this is another good point. I'd chosen to do it on my work laptop because I was under the assumption that you couldn't do the exam on a MacBook, just because that's what it says like somewhere on the ACCA website.
Mm.
And it was actually only in the days leading up to the exam that I called someone from ACCA, and they was like, "No, you can do it on a MacBook. It just actually has to be, I think, of a certain like software or later." Which,
Right.
after all of that, I could have done it on my laptop, but I think where I've been revising on my work one, I just decided to stick to that. But yeah, because I did it on a work one, I had to kind of check with my IT department. I didn't have any VPNs that would mess it up, and just little things like that. But obviously, I would recommend doing it on a personal laptop if you can, and you don't have to worry about the whole VPN issue.
Yeah, and you're more familiar with it as well. And on the exam day, how does it actually work? I mean, do you just sort of open up your laptop? I mean, there'll be students there going, "You've got to ask him, James. Like, what's it? What do you do? Like, just open it up, or is there someone there chatting to you as an invigilator?"
Yeah, sure. So you obviously you check in. I think it's about 15 minutes. It might be 30, but yeah, you check in a little bit before obviously the exam start time. You do a few things. So you'll need your mobile phone. You're required to kind of take a picture of your entire setup. So from the front, from the back, from the right, from the left, just to make sure obviously that you haven't got any kind of hidden notes and stuff like that. You upload them to the kind of ACCA system, and
Mm.
then once that's all sorted, you pretty much wait for an invigilator to kind of check in. He'll obviously just check that stuff like the mic, the camera, all of that is working. And this is probably one thing that kind of caught me off guard the most. Once you are checked in, you can start. They'll let you know, but you can start no matter what time it is. So that's kind of what something that caught me off guard, because I just assumed once you check in, you wait until the official time that the exam's meant to start. And yeah, that kind of bit me a little bit, because I'd planned to check in earlier and kind of just give myself the 8-9 minutes that it took to the official time to just steady myself, compose, and kind of just think about the exam. And then when they were like, "Yeah, you can start," it did. Yeah, it caught me off guard, and I was a bit flustered for the first few minutes. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's just something to make note of.
Oh, definitely. And I mean, I've got to say it's on record, but if you're thinking, oh, it's just going to be easier to do a remote exam, or if you've got that thing in your head where you're going, oh, I'm sure I could have my notes there. If you get caught with notes trying to do your exam, it's your funeral on that. It's exactly like it would be if it was at the center, when you've been there. You put your bags at the front, and I don't even think you're allowed water, but with no label on it. All these sort of things on there, they are so strict, and do not even think that you can even try to play the system, should we say, on there. It is not worth it. If you get caught, you will be in serious trouble with the ACCA. I mean, the only other thing that springs to mind, which you'd have probably found out, Aaron, in your research, like if you do the remote exam and you just need to go to the toilet, what do you do? Like, do they have a process for that? In the exam, if you're in a centre, you get escorted out, someone's there with you. What happens remotely?
Yeah, so this was something that I had looked up. Luckily, I didn't actually need to use the bathroom,
Right.
but you just drop a message to your invigilator. You'll have a little kind of button on your screen. Just drop them a message, say, "I need to go to the toilet." I'm pretty sure at the moment that you send it, you don't actually have to wait for a response. You can go, but I think the limit is 5 minutes. If you're not back within 5 minutes, they'll just cancel your exam. That's you done. And
Right.
yeah, obviously once you're back, let them know you're back. But it's probably, I'd say, a lot less hassle than I imagine it is.
Mm.
Obviously in the center, um, but yeah, it's fairly quick and simple. But 5 minutes is the absolute max.
Yeah, I mean, well, one of the big questions then is for your next exam, are you going to be doing a centre, or are you then going to be doing another remote one?
No, I think I'm probably going to stick to the remote for the foreseeable, just because I think the only kind of gripes I had about the first way round were just simple mistakes that I won't make this time, because obviously I've now got the experience of doing one, and I
Mm.
know that it was probably just me and my probably overactive imagination just thinking of the absolute worst. But for me, at least, it was a very kind of simple process once I had sorted everything out.
No, I agree. And once you get used to that sort of system, I've been to centres, and I've heard from some students where the one I did in Nottingham, the room was so hot on there. It was so hot, and it was in the December exam, I think it was. I'm there going, what is going on here? And there are lots of other external factors that you just can't control. Whereas if you are doing a remote exam, I completely agree with you. You have control of your environment. You're in a familiar place. You've not had to travel. There are people who miss their exam because of traffic, trains cancelled, all these sort of things. So it's working out what is going to work best for you, doing your research, and I hope this video is helping. So an ACCA student out there who's considering which one to go for. I think if I had to do my exams again, I I would probably go to the centre still. I just think it's when you're there, I just have in my mind, I'm like, the only reason why I'm here is to do this exam. And I don't know what it is, but my brain just switches into gear, and it just knows. And you feel pretty good after it. You think, oh, I've deserved a beer after this as well for it on there. But do you have any other final tips, Aaron, for any students out there considering which option to take on there, what we haven't covered so far?
I think I think if you're thinking about what kind of approach you want to take, I think it just comes down to, you need to ask yourself, what kind of person are you? Like you said, some people are like yourself, and it's kind of when they're in that environment, it's like switch on, let's do it. And I think I've seen it firsthand, just particularly at uni exams. Some people just crumble when they're in that environment. So I think if you're one of them people, you might be better off kind of doing it in the comfort of your own home, where it's kind of like you can compose yourself in the lead up and just take a breather. If you're on the other hand, and the second you get in there, you're just gonna start, your heart's racing, your mind's gone blank. It's You just need to take a step back and think, what is best for me. It's
Yeah,
it's, it's a long paper. It's like 3 hours and 15 minutes. It's just think. That's all I can say.
yes.
Just think.
Oh no, indeed. Well, thank you so much, Aaron, for all those tips, insights as well, and sharing your experience. And myself and Aaron would love to know, guys. Leave us a comment below. Which option are you going to go for? Remote or in an actual centre on there? But again, just finally, Aaron, thank you so much again for coming on the channel today for your debut. Have you enjoyed it? I mean, are you going to set up your own YouTube channel now?
I'm not too sure about setting up an own channel, but who knows? Maybe I might make another appearance if the rest of my exams go well. We'll
That's
wait and
all
see.
right. Well, if anyone wants any advice how to pass your SBR exam, Aaron got actually 92 on that. There's another video on the channel, guys. Feel free to check that out and subscribe. And best of luck with your exam, whichever you're going to choose, remote or in a centre. So best of luck, and we'll see you next time.